Laura Gartrey in Perth. It's Sydney's most loved and hated clock. The Hornsby water clock inspires affection, ridicule and everything in between. But residents of Hornsby have come to accept it as a central landmark. But now Hornsby Shire Council could face legal action for letting the clock fall into disrepair. The sculpture's maker has accused the council of breaching his moral rights as an artist and could invoke a little-used clause in the Copyright Act to force council to restore his artwork to its original form. Anne Barker reports.
If art is meant to provoke strong reaction, then Hornsby's water clock is a masterpiece. Since the day it was installed, it's caused controversy and confusion.
How does it work?
Nice work of art by the look of it. It's the first time I've ever seen anything like that.
I think it's a bit of a monstrosity. Doesn't work very often either.
And that's been the enduring problem. Hornsby Shire Council paid more than $1 million for the water clock in the early 90s, but blocked pipes, dirty filters and minor damage meant the clock itself very quickly stopped working, much to the frustration of artist Victor Cusack.
It's all of my experience, all of my love of living, all of my fear about the future.
Victor Cusack spent 2.5 years building the sculpture he called Man, Time and the Environment. But 2 decades on, he's still the only person who truly understands how it works. And without proper repairs or maintenance by council, time has frozen still and the famous landmark is now just a fountain. Council says fixing it would waste thousands of ratepayers' dollars.
It's broken. It's just too expensive to go trying to throw good money after bad in trying to make it actually work as a clock. But as a fountain, it works quite well.
It's not broken. All it needs is to be cleaned up and adjusted. It's all to do with just replacing bits of wire and adjusting this and cleaning it. They haven't cleaned it for years. It's covered in green algae.
Victor Cusack says council neglect has diminished his work and damaged his reputation as an artist. He's now hired a barrister who specialises in copyright law and artists' rights.
Because it doesn't work in the way in which it was intended, it doesn't look as the clock should look as he created it. And the question is, does that amount to derogatory treatment? If it does, as the artist, he would have the right to complain about that.
A legal defence would rely on the rarely used concept of artists' moral rights, which is common in Europe and North America, but was only introduced into Australian law about 10 years ago.
This is about the right you have as a creator in maintaining the integrity of your work so that it's not dealt with in a way that is prejudicial to your honour and reputation as an artist.
Only 2 cases involving artists' moral rights have been pursued in Australian courts, and in both cases the artists won. 10 years ago, a portrait artist, Vladas Maskinas, sued the publisher of Woman's Day magazine for wrongly attributing his portrait of heart surgeon Victor Chang to another artist. He was awarded $9,000 in compensation. And in 2012, American rapper Armando Perez, known as Pitbull, sued a Perth disc jockey who distorted his song Bon Bon in a way which the court found was harmful to the songwriter's reputation. The court ruled that Perez deserved $13,000 in damages. But a legal win for Victor Cusack, while perhaps awarding damages, would likely prompt the council to dismantle the water clock altogether, rather than spend the money to restore it to proper working order.
The people of Hornsby own it, but at the end of the day, we have, as a council, we have a responsibility to be careful with the ratepayers' money. So we've got to balance that against Victor's interests.
Victor Cusack and his lawyer hope instead to resolve the matter through negotiation. Local businesses in Hornsby have proposed another solution, for the water clock's upkeep to be funded and managed by a private trust.
A $3 million asset being left to just go into diminishment is ridiculous. Bad enough if it was a cricket pitch or a football field or something like that, but that it's a work of art. I mean, it's like putting a Leonardo out in the sun to diminish and say, well, it's too costly to repair it. I mean, it's a nonsense.
Paul O'Neill runs a restaurant nearby and believes a restored water clock could become a tourist attraction.
We will be doing a Fine Wood and Wine Expo in a couple of weeks, and the fountain will be part of that. I mean, we'll have a small, limited light show there. Again, it's a great asset to put into the local community.
Friends of the Fountain, as they're called, believe the water clock could be a valuable money spinner for Hornsby. Victor Cusack believes it could be promoted as a wishing well, like Rome's Trevi Fountain.
Give the romantic people a legend, a place to come to wish for the future, and turn it into a wishing well. And you're going to have tourists coming in and get the sculpture running. The children love it. Everyone loves it when it's operating.